Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds. Hang out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy is dead.
And today we continue our TalDorei campaign setting highlights. Now we're moving into player class options.
Jump down the description below. We can sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
So we're delving back into one of our highlights for the TalDorei campaign setting by Matt Mercer. And we were a little harsh on his Dragonborn class
or
subrace, but now we're into player class options, and I think we have a different tune to sing.
I'm certainly digging what's here. It's one of those things. We can page 101 of your TalDorei campaign setting book, and we get a handful of character archetypes
and fantastic art.
Oh, and fantastic art. And this is a great shot of a large adventuring party.
The first thing we get is the cleric domain, the blood domain. This is all about affecting, kind of the blood and life force of your opponents. It's kind of cool. They get to add some cool spells to their spell list, like Sleep, Ray of Sickness, Ray of Enfeeblement, Crown of Madness, Haste, Slow, Blight, Stone Skin, Dominate Person, Hold Monster. So they're getting access to some really cool spells that they don't normally get.
Absolutely. Now, before we get into any further powers, one of the things that I really like about this, and it's something that Nerdarchy has always been a strong proponent of, says when casting divine spells as Blood Domain Cleric, consider ways to occasionally flavor your description to tailor the magic's effect on the opponent's blood and vitality. And so it just goes to show that you can say, well, I'm doing this, but I'm going to describe it differently. The effect is still the same, but it's flavored in a way that fits the theme of this particular character.
Right, and they go and they give you a couple examples of how you might do that as well.
So I'm totally digging it. I can understand how, if you speed up someone's blood, and breathing, that they might be energized. You cause the adrenaline glands to go, and now they're hasted. Well, if you slow their breathing and slow their blood flow, well, then they might be slowed. So it explains exactly why they've got haste and slow.
Absolutely. So one of their first level abilities is Bloodletting Focus. So that just means anytime you do damage, you get to do extra necrotic damage, because you have the blood domain. So it's not a ton, but it's 2 plus the spell's level, so a little bit more. But that it's a cumulative effect every time you hurt somebody.
Absolutely. And then they're also going to wind up with proficiency with martial weapons.
The bloodletting focus is only against creatures that actually have blood. So you're going to be limited there. But, in the case of spells that affect an area, you're going to do the extra damage to everyone. So, like I said, cumulative effect is pretty good. It's pretty decent for a first level ability. Then we move into their Channel Divinity, and these are kind of fun.
So second level, they get Blood Puppet. And I guarantee you this is getting stolen for my game. I've got a demon cult that worships blood. So having something that you can take people over by controlling their blood, oh yeah.
So in essence, it's really just kind of like a charm person type spell, but you just physically control them as opposed to mentally or emotionally. So it's fun, it's cool. Up to a large creature, huge once you hit 8th level, so it gets a little bit better. For a Channel Divinity, it's pretty good. Then we move into the next one, which is...
the thing I was going to get at is it's a Constitution saving throw as opposed to a mental save. So, for some people, that might wind up being good. So, you could use this on your spellcasters much easier than you could the charm person.
That is true, absolutely true. So it definitely gives you another option. So moving into the other Channel Divinity is Crimson Bond.
And this one's more of a ribbon ability. You can bond with a creature or a blood sample and be able to learn things about them and possibly be able to track them.
Yeah, it also requires their blood, so this one's going to be a little bit harder to pull off, and a sizable amount too. So, it's still interesting. I like it, and in the wake of Blood Puppet, it's great.
So we move on to an 8th level, Sanguine Recall.
And... Wait, let's start. Thank you, Matt Mercer, for not just doing extra damage at 8th level.
Extra damage on cantrips or extra damage on melee weapons. It was so refreshing to not see
The typical 8th level ability.
That sucks.
Yeah, so this is really cool. You basically can do damage to yourself and recall spell slots you've already cast. So that's pretty cool. That's a lot of fun. It's far more interesting than some of the other 8th level abilities that clerics get. So they cut themselves, they get spells back.
Absolutely, to a limit, of course. 17th level vascular corruption aura. It's like, whoa. So essentially, you can emit a powerful aura that extends 30 feet, and you fill it with necrotic energy. So it's similar to Guardian Spirits, the spell, but as opposed to you being surrounded by these angels and whatnot, you just have this pulsing necrotic aura that causes damage like 2d6 necrotic to anything that starts its turn there or enters.
It also reduces the healing abilities in that area as well.
So it can shut down things that regenerate or lessen it.
Yes, absolutely. So all in all, Blood Domain win. I think it did a good job here. Now we get to the next character option, which is probably my favorite, Path of the Juggernaut.
So should we just strip out the Berserker from the player's handbook and insert this one?
Yeah, it's a far better substitution. It's a lot of fun. I like it. You start off at 3rd level. When you rage, you can get thunderous blows. This gives you a little bit of a control. So once per round, basically, you can move someone 5 feet. They fail their strength save, and you immediately move 5 feet with them.
Yeah, if you want.
Yeah, if you want.
If you're pushing them off the hill, you probably don't want to go with them.
But the option is there. You also get stance of the mountain.
This one is awesome because it just is like, if you're not unconscious, you just are not knocked prone. You can always just stand there.
And both of those are when you're raging.
Exactly.
Next we have Demolishing Might.
And this is another cool feature that just says forget whether you're raging or not. You do double damage to objects and structures. And it even goes so far to say, like, okay, well, we can't give you double damage on constructs, but we're going to give you something, so you get an extra D8.
You break stuff. You just break stuff all the time. So that's a lot of fun. Next we have Overwhelming Cleave. And what that is, while you're raging, if you smack a foe as a bonus action, you can smack a foe, another foe. So that's pretty cool. It's a way better way to get extra attacks than the Berserker has. You just use your bonus action. As long as you hit someone, you can use it. You can use it again. Now, this ability is going to be a little tricky because if you have Great Weapon Master, and a lot of barbarians do take that one, if you drop something or crit, you can generally use your bonus attack to attack again anyway. But this just kind of offers another option. Their keystone ability or capstone ability for the
Unstoppable
archetype is Unstoppable, and it's pretty sweet.
So here is one where the Berserker in the player's handbook is all about accumulating those exhaustion levels. So they didn't want to completely remove that. So here is a way for you to get it back, but it's much better. So at 14th level, when you enter a range, you can become unstoppable. So if you're going to get frightened, paralyzed, or stunned, which will typically send you out of rage because you're not attacking something, if you enter a rage and are unstoppable, then you're immune to these kind of conditions. Your speed can't be slowed. You're immune to these kind of effects, and you just keep fighting. Downside, when you leave your rage, you get a level of exhaustion.
Now, if you can't have any of those effects put on you and you're not raging, as a bonus action, you can rage and suspend them.
So you can rage, choose to go unstoppable. You're going to pick up that level of exhaustion, but at least you get to keep fighting rather than be like, oh, I'm scared or I'm stunned. Like, nope, I'm immune. I'm going.
This is a much more worthy way of getting exhaustion than what the Berserker has from the player's handbook. So all in all, Path of the Juggernaut, thumbs up. I like it. It's very thematic.
I'd play it in a heartbeat. And again, we got a cool, shirtless dwarf ready to go.
With an amazing belt buckle that will literally stop bullets. So that brings us to a sorcerer's origin, and that is Runechild.
So there must be, and again, I have not read through the campaign section of this book. So perhaps in TalDorei there's a lot of sigils and glyphs in the world, And the Rune Child is definitely designed for characters or worlds that have that kind of thing to it. But apart from that, it's still a pretty cool archetype.
Basically, you get a bunch of magic tattoos, and you can activate them. Generally, the more you activate, the better the effect you get. Activate 5 or more, and you light up like a glow stick.
So you have these essence runes that typically your first one is on your forehead, and you begin play with one of them, and you gain an additional one every time you level up. You can kind of spend sorcery points to activate these things, and as they
No, no, no. It's when you spend sorcery
oh,
points.
my
So,
apologies.
it is the same, but it's not, because if you're using meta magics or other abilities and you're spending your sorcery points, well, as you do it, you're charging up your runes that you can then use later for other effects.
So, Glyph of Aegis, beginning at first level, you can release the stored arcane power within your runes to absorb or deflect the threatening attacks against you. So you can reduce it by a die 6 per charged rune that you release. So you got the ability to really shrug off some damage, which is good for a caster type.
But then at 6th level, you can actually imbue that in other people and share it with them. So that's kind of cool. It gives you some options, but you get sigillic augmentation upon reaching 6th level.
So you can expend a charged rune as a bonus action to enhance your physical saving throws, granting you advantage on those ability checks.
Which could be really helpful if you need to like overcome a concentration check or something.
Or really make that jump check. So 6th level, you get Manifest Inscriptions. So as an action, you can expend a charged rune to cause any hidden magical marks, runes, ward, or glyphs within 15 feet of you to reveal themselves with a glow for 1 round. The glow is considered dim light for a 5-foot radius around the marks or glyph. So this is a ribbon ability unless there's really a lot of these kind of things in your campaign world. So, like, oh yeah, there's a symbol of death there. Well, hey, glad I knew that. But beyond those kind of spell effects, there's not a huge lot of them in the games that we run.
Right. Well, that being said, it's a 6th level ability, and they're already getting their glyph of ages augmented at 6th level, so I don't feel like it's really a big deal. Like, it's not like a dead ability level.
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, like, it's not useful for our world.
I know, bitch, 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 Ted. Runic Torrent is what they get at 14th level, and this one's really useful because if they're using spells on something that has immunity or resistance, they can then use the rune essences in order to overcome it and ignore it.
Yeah, that's a good one. And as always, there's always some kind of transformation within the sorcerers. So at 18th level, you can use a bonus action and expend 6 or more charged runes to temporarily become a being of pure magical energy, and it lasts for 3 rounds plus 1 round for every 3 runes that you expend to make the transformation.
Gives you a bunch of stuff.
Gives you fly speed of 40. Your spell save DC is increased by 2, which there's very few things that actually do that in the game. So that's pretty awesome. If you stack that with those awesome magical items that you might already have at that level, you get resistance to damage from all spells. And when you cast a spell of 1st level or higher, you regain hit points equal to the spell's level, which healing sorcerers, woo, all for.
Yeah. So all in all, it's a good one. So far we're 3 for 3, and we still have one more to go.
And this one happens to be my favorite. We got Monk, Way of the Cobalt Soul. And this is the monk who is out for the collection of knowledge, and
It's the scholarly monk. These monks are Utarites. It's definitely a different take, and I was not expecting this.
so you get a bunch of abilities that allow you to kind of collect information and bring it back to your order. Mystic Erudition. Upon choosing this tradition at 3rd level, you're undergone extensive training with the Cobalt Soul, allowing you to mystically recall information on history and lore from the monastery's collected volumes. Whenever you make an intelligence, arcana, history, or religion check, you can expend 1 Kai point to gain advantage on the roll. In addition, you learn 1 language of your choice. You gain additional languages at 11th and 17th level. Pretty cool. having the ability to speak more languages makes you far better at role playing and communicating with the great races that are out there.
And also, for the first time, we're seeing Kai points used in a completely different way. It's very interesting and fun, for that matter. Extract aspects is really cool. If you hit your opponent with 2 attacks or more, you start knowing things about them. Depending on your level, determines how many facts you can gain about them.
So
It keeps going up.
So it starts off with 1. You get 2 at 6th level, 3 at 11th, and 4 at 17th. And you get to choose from creature type, armor class, senses, highest saving throw modifier, lowest saving throw modifier, damage vulnerabilities, damage resistance, damage immunities, or condition immunities. So pretty fun to actually take those mechanical numbers that are really meaningless to a character and be able to actually share it to the player. So I thought that was pretty amusing.
Now they get a saving throw against this, but it's still kind of cool.
So we get a similar kind of effect with 6th level. You can hit somebody multiple times with extort truth. Spend your 2 Kai points, and if they fail their save, you force them to be able to have to tell the truth. They won't be able to tell a lie.
The caveat is, though, they can choose not to speak.
So I thought that it was amusing that they had to put that in there. You couldn't have let the players have one. Make the GM have to see through that little loophole.
But that being said, you still get Mind of Mercury at 6th level as well. And this is another ability that kind of reflects upon their intellectual might, if you will. So basically, they can take a reaction for each point of their bonus from their intelligence, as long as they spend the Kai point to do so. So they can get. It's the only time we're seeing someone get a bunch of reactions.
So you can still only react to a single thing once. So if something moves through your threatened, moves out of your threatened area, you get to punch them or hit them as per normal. You don't get to do multiple if you get extra reactions. But if you have multiple things that happen that's going to use your reaction, this is a way to do it. So this is yet another stat that this monk happens to need. You need your wisdom, you need your dex, you need your constitution.
Well,
now you need your intelligence.
You automatically get at least 1, right? So you could do 2 reactions in a round. And like the most, I guess the most basic and often used example would be if a bunch of enemies run by you. Instead of being only able to attack one of them, now you could attack a handful of them, possibly.
So lot of fun. 11th level, you get preternatural counter.
Well, there's also another part of that. You also can spend the Kai point to get advantage on your investigate rolls as well. So they get a bunch of stuff. They're all about the skills.
So the only intelligence check you're missing out on is nature at that point in time.
Wah, wah, wah.
So as I said, preternatural counter at 11th level. Your quick mind and study of your foe allows you to use their failure to your advantage. If a creature misses you with an attack, you can immediately use your reaction to make a melee attack against that creature. So here's where you use those multiple actions. If you get into combat with a lot of people and have a good armor class, and they start missing you, now's where you start, using those Kai points and beat the snot out of them.
Yes, it's definitely, you're going to get a lot of uses out of those reactions, one way or another.
So that's where I like that. Okay, well, I get this thing at 6, and now I gotta just get to 11th. Now I just gotta get to 11th.
I also like the fact they keep going back, like when you attack as a monk, they keep referring to pressure points, and it kind of makes me think of Kung Fu Panda a little bit, but
Oh, the whooshy finger hold. No.
Skadoosh.
So now we move on to 17th level, the debilitating barrage.
That was definitely the skadoosh we're talking about. Hit them with 3 or more attacks, and spend some Kai points. Bad things are sure to ensue for them, like gaining disadvantage to all the rolls until the end of your next turn. Now they do get a con save against this, but it's still a great way for setting yourself up for more attacks or not getting attacked, which would then sets up the miss, so then you can use your preternatural counter on them, and then unload with all those reactions because they're making all these misses. Or if your comrades have abilities that require saving throws, they're gonna have disadvantage on those saving throws. If it's a tough foe, that maybe has spell resistance or something. Now you're giving him disadvantage on his saving throws, so now he has to roll normal. So there's definitely some good things that can be used with that. Another thing about deliberating barrage though is if they fail their saving throw for 1 minute, you can give them vulnerability to one attack of your choice, one time
One
damage type.
damage type until they take that damage.
Yeah, so that's pretty nice too.
So yeah, little help, little nice. So all in all, I'm very happy with the class options that we have here, and I will point out, one little sidebar that they have. But wait, there's more. For additional options, including the Exandria-based Bloodhunter class, Order of the Lycan Bloodhunter option, the Fighter Gunslinger archetype, and the Bard's College of the Maestro, you can get all of those over at the DM's Guild. So four cool archetypes in the book.
I would allow any of these in my game. I think they're well balanced. Nothing's like overkill. Nothing seems particularly underkill. So the question is, though, guys, what about you? Will you allow these player options into your game? We have a place where you can let us know. Let's go to the comments while you're at it. Like, share, and subscribe.
Jump down in the description and get that link to go get your copy.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.
Light, stone skin, dominate person, hold monster. So they're getting access to some really cool spells that they don't normally get.
Absolutely. Now, before we get into any further powers, one of the things that I really like about this, and it's something that Nerdarchy has always been a strong proponent of, says when casting divine spells as Blood Domain Cleric, consider ways to occasionally flavor your description to tailor the magic's effect on the opponent's blood and vitality.
By Matt Mercer, and we were a little harsh on his Dragonborn class
Or subrace.
But now we're into player class options, and I think we have a different tune to sing.
I'm certainly digging what's here. It's one of those things. We can page 101 of your TalDorei campaign setting book, and we get a handful. And so it just goes to show that you can say, well, I'm doing this, but I'm going to describe it differently. The effect is still the same, but it's flavored in a way that fits the theme of this particular character.
Right, and they go and they give you a couple examples of how you might do that as well.
So I'm totally digging it.
Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds. Hang out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
And today we continue our TalDorei campaign setting highlights. Now we're moving into player class options.
Jump down the description below. We can sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
So we're delving back into one of our highlights for the TalDorei campaigning set
of character archetypes
and fantastic art.
Oh, and fantastic art. And this is a great shot of a large adventuring party.
The first thing we get is the cleric domain, the blood domain. This is all about affecting, kind of the blood and life force of your opponents. It's kind of cool. They get to add some cool spells to their spell list, like Sleep, Ray of Sickness, Ray of Enfeeblement, Crown of Madness, Haste, Slow, Blood.